When I was over there, I know, I don't need to throw a wrench. Huh? I don't need to throw a wrench. No, I actually, part of my little heart was like, oh, it's like a lot of my heart. Like, okay. We were putting it in the office, and we wanted to podcast, and so I put in my name. But now I don't want to be on it. Maybe you guys. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah. I'm ready. Okay. Yeah, George. All right, welcome everybody. Good to be with you. All right. We got our Spanish contingency over here. Hola. All right. Hey, it's great to be with you guys. Fun to see your shining faces. I can for assure you we need to get it cooler in here. Is it not hot already? No?
Yes.
All right. Hey, Becky, can you make sure they turn? Get it. Perfect. Thank you. All good. All right. So hey, I'm excited that you guys are all here. I'm excited for what's happening. Obviously, full house, which is way cool. Probably the most we've ever had in this group, which tells us that obviously you know how we feel about Tony Robbins and his events and what we do. In fact, just last week I got back from what's called Business Mastery. I know that I saw Amy. Where is Amy? I saw Amy Clark somewhere. You're not gonna raise your hand? Hey, I know Amy, I know Cody Watts, Chase Watts. Anybody else gone to Business Mastery? Did you go? Oh, you want to? All right. Hey, how are you? Good to see you, Toby. All right. So yeah. So the thing is that it was awesome, and I know that they're gonna obviously. Just so you know, this is a sales job to get you to go, just for the record. But also, I know you're going to get a lot of quality and a lot of content, which is going to be very, very exciting and give you a taste and a feel for some of the extraordinary things that are happening there. So with that, I don't know if you know this, but really our relationship with Tony and how that really has almost, I would say, kept alive has been through the actions of Lindsay and a great gal by the name of Debbie Costa. Is she somewhere around here? There she is. There's Debbie. So all live, you know Debbie, so we got to give Debbie a little acknowledgement. And then she's brought her friend, but I'm going to turn the time over to Lindsay, who's going to introduce and say and give a mention of what we're doing. But again, guys, great job on being here. Should be a great day, and it's going to be a fun time. We're excited for you, Stephen. So thank you for both being here. Debbie, both Philadelphia and New York, right? So yeah, they came a ways to be here. So I'm glad a lot of us showed up because it's going to be a great day. All right, here we go.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you guys, again, thanks for being here. We appreciate everybody and the turnout that we're having. So just want to mention Debbie and really the relationship that we have with Debbie. How many of you have actually been to a Tony Robbins event? Wow, look at the crowd. Well, that woman is responsible for it. So just so you know, she has been our partner in crime, making sure that all of us got our tickets at the prices we get them at, the events that we get to go to, and has really been our confidant in, you're going to make me cry, girl, and has impacted my life more than anybody because she has held me accountable to making sure I go almost every quarter. And so just to give her you guys just give her a round of applause and thank you for all of us. She's been with Tony for 16 years. And I loved in her bio specifically the mission statement that she had for Tony. And she said, Tony's mission is to transform lives, inspire daily, and she chooses to inspire and empower people so that we can live in a better world. And so I just loved that statement specifically. So thanks again, Debbie. We're going to turn the time over to Stephen. Stephen, thank you for coming out. Yes. So Stephen has been with Tony for 3 years, is a speaker through him. He's here to, like George said, get you excited, and hopefully all of you will be going in November, right?
That's the
yes.
That's the kind of enthusiasm I'm looking for.
So, okay.
Thank you, Lindsay. I really appreciate it. Can you give her a huge round of applause? Give her a bigger one. Come on. And I just want to say a special thank you as well to you, George, for having me here. And thank you to every single one of you for showing up. My name is Stephen Litman, and I'm one of 6 peak performance strategists with the guy with the big teeth, Tony Robbins, right? And you all raised your hand. He's not here, I can say what I want, right? But you all raised your hand. A lot of you did that. You've been to a Tony Robbins event before, right?
Right.
Is everybody aware who Tony Robbins is? Yeah. Yes? Okay, good. I want to make sure I'm in the right room. We hate to have you go on for 15 minutes and be like, who's he talking about? Is that the guy from Shallow Hal? What is he saying? Right? But if I were to ask you, because I get the privilege to travel around the country as part of a team of 6 and really introduce Tony's work in a very hands-on way. So yes, if you would like to go in November, obviously you're speaking to me, I'm going to tell you go, because it's one of the greatest experiences I think a human being can have to make radical shifts in their psychology, which then shows up in the results of their lives. But I'm not here to get you just to go to an event. I'm here to get you some real results here and now. Who's with me? Say yes. Yes. All right, beautiful. And there's a couple of things that go along with that. How many people have been to a Tony Robbins event before? Okay, are they high energy or low energy? Okay, now I'm not here to give anybody a rah-rah, because guess what? If you're in this business, and I'm just going to go off my experience of being in this business, a little bit of backstory on me in case you were interested. No one ever is. But in case you were, the backstory on me is I've been working with Tony now for a little over 3 years, traveling the country, speaking to thousands of people. I don't say that to impress you. I just say it to impress upon you that even if you're as dense as I am, when you start to hear a lot of the same things from people in industries all across the country that have been doing it and being really successful, getting great results for 10, 20, 30 years, eventually the light bulb goes off and goes, I should probably share that with other people. What do you think? Right? So I bring that to you as a value add, but before that I actually helped to start a real estate company in New York City. I joined when we had 17 people. I had no idea what I was doing, and when I left, we had just passed the $2 billion valuation mark, 20 offices, and I still had no idea what I was doing, but it was a lot of fun along the way, and so I bring that to you as another value add. But please, if you're in this room, you are going to get massive results, but there are a couple of rules. I go back to whether Tony was high energy or low energy, and you guys all said high, right? Right. And there's a reason for that. The studies show if you don't keep your energy up, and I'm not here to give you a rah-rah, of course, but if you don't keep your energy up, your retention level drops to the floor. I'll prove it to you. Who in here would like an extra $1 million? Anybody? Woo! I'm in the right room. Very cool. I didn't even tell you what you had to do for it, though, so that's a little questionable. Okay, but the point is that if I said to you, you could win that $1 million, and all you have to do is tell me, what did you have for breakfast 3 weeks ago on a Tuesday morning? And where are the people that have the same thing every morning? I can feel you. There you are. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Interestingly, they're all on this side of the room. Okay. We'll dive into that later. But for the rest of us, it might be difficult. Yes? Yes or no? Yes. Right, because we didn't fully engage. That being said, I know it's a silly example, but bear with me, okay? That being said, I don't care how old you are, what stage of life you're in. If your favorite song from high school came on the radio, that throwback jam that you loved, how many people, by a show of hands, could remember the words of the chorus? Dun 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 dun. Point is, and the reason is because we had some fun to it, right? We used our voices. So here are going to be a couple keys today, because I want you to get the highest value in our very short period of time. You've got to keep your energy up, and the way to do that is you breathe deeply. So everybody sit up straight, take a deep breath in, let it out, and give me like a sigh. Give me like, ah. Nice. Very, very cool, okay? And also what you want to do is you want to make sure you're using your voice. So if I ask you a question, like I say, yes or no, I want you to shout back the answer. So you ready to do this, yes or no? Yes! All right. Phew. My work here's done. Never mind. All right, exactly. So let's dive in. Tony, for the last 40 years, without beating on this man's chest, has done some pretty remarkable things. And I bet you, if we had the time and we took it, which I almost would love to do at the end, where we can hear the stories from each and every individual, just like George and Lindsay have said, I mean, he's been really getting people some amazing results. Is that fair? Yes. Now, and they're not just millions of people like you or I, but also people that are the captains of their industry, whether that be an Oprah Winfrey or a Serena Williams or, a Mark Benioff who started Salesforce or a Michael Dell. But these are some successful people. Would you agree? Yes. And yet they're still getting better results. Now, why is that? What do you think? Why are they going to a guy like Tony Robbins to get better results? What do you think? There's no wrong answer. Toby, go ahead.
There's always a next level.
There's always going to be a next level.
New thoughts and beliefs to get there.
Give her a round of applause, please. But how many people in this room, just curious, how many people in this room, because I know who I'm talking to, have set a goal, worked your butt off for it, you got it, and then after you got it, you said, is this it? Anybody? You're being honest? Okay, I appreciate that. Which is why one of the things Tony Robbins says that I love to repeat is that achievement alone is never enough. To achieve without being fulfilled is the ultimate failure. So today we're going to talk strategy. We're going to talk results. Yes? Yes. Okay, but not at the expense of our fulfillment. Because historically speaking, at some point, this life is going to come to an end. Aren't you glad you came to this positive visit? But when it does, I don't think we're going to care about what we've made. Is that fair? or not necessarily what we've made, I mean monetarily, what we bought, what we sold. What we're going to care about is the impact that we made, the fun that we had. Agreed or disagree? Agreed. Okay, so can we commit to having fun this morning, yes or no? Yes. Being fulfilled this morning, yes or no? Yes. All right, beautiful. So, let's dive in. If we're talking about results, who in here wants to grow their business? Yes? Yes. Beautiful. They're like, not another yes question. I can't deal with this anymore. Yeah, we want to grow our business. So, let's just be simple and plain because we have a limited amount of time and a lot of information. So, if that's the case, we're going to look for results. Well, results in growing our business could be more listings, more clients, more referrals, whatever that might be. Right? Less stress, but the same amount of money. That would be nice too, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Only two of you? All right. Okay, but how do we get any result? We have to take massive what? Starts with an A. We know that, which is why I often say, and I say it over and over, when do you think the most important moment, you guys see that in the back, by the way? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, thank you very much. When do you think the most important moment of today's training will be?
Right after.
Your name, your first name, sir?
Mike.
Mike. Mike said?
Right after.
Why is that, Mike?
Because we got to act upon what we learn.
One of the things I love about Tony is he always says that knowledge alone is not power, it's potential power. Would you agree with that, George?
I would. Execution.
Exactly. So if you took the time to be here, I'm going to serve you the highest level that I'm possibly capable of. I will not betray your trust. I will give you things that you can use immediately to make massive steps in your results that you're after. But it all comes down to who? Right. So when asked, why do people take some action and some people don't? Tony says a very simple answer. It's because they run different patterns of behavior. Now what does that mean? That means, how many people heard that before, by the way? Yeah, okay, beautiful. So what does that mean? That just means that we tend to do a lot of the same stuff, take different action, right? Again and again and again, almost like in a routine. Everybody with me? Yeah. Would you agree with me on that, by the way? We tend to do a lot of the same stuff every day.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, if we do that, how many people in this room still want to get different results? Who knows Einstein's theory of insanity?
Yeah.
By that definition, how many of us are crazy mofos? Anybody? Beautiful. At least you're honest. I appreciate that. So the cool part is, though, I subscribe to Nike, who says if you want to do anything, do it right. So who's been in this business more than 5 years? Okay, then really quickly, fire it off. What is the recipe to being super successful in real estate? What are the action steps that if we all commit to taking them the second that we walk out this door, come hell or high water, we will get better results provided we put more of our potential into the action we're taking? Humor me. What are the things I need to do? What are the absolute musts? Go ahead.
Talk to more people.
Talk to more people. Thank you very much. Your first name?
Brenda Lee.
Brenda Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Brenda Lee. Give her a round of applause. That really cuts down on your comments, you know what I'm saying? Okay, but talk to more people. Now, how could we do that, right? Talk to more people. We're going to get really granular. Treat me like a 5-year-old, which once you get to know me won't be difficult, okay? But talk to more people. How can we talk to more people?
Open your mouth.
That's a great first step. You took it all the way down to like Crassus one. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to set it up just a tad after I open my mouth, right? And take a deep breath in. How can we do it? Quickly.
High profitability, continuous action.
Okay.
Prospect.
Yeah.
Identify opportunities.
Okay. So, look. Use the phone. You with me?
Yes.
All right. Or door knock. Or network. Right? Your church. Social media. Exactly. The soccer team, whatever it might be for you, but talk to more people, engage with them. Now, what are the rules to real estate? Because every industry is different, right? If we were in the NBA, how tall you were might have a contributing factor on how good you are, right? But how tall you are in real estate is not really the determining factor. Would you agree? So what is the determining factor? The determining factor is, if you agree with me, is that do they know you, right? That's step one. But more importantly, do they trust you? Would you agree?
Yes.
That's the name of the game. And then maybe a third is how do they refer you? So all we have to do is just improve on, okay, which mechanics are we going to use to make sure that more people in our sphere know of us, number one, and then we said a couple things you can do, right? Phone, door knocking, mailers, the list goes on. And I know that if you're in this room, I'm not telling you something you don't know. You know this already. I'm getting to a point here, right? So do they know you? But do they trust you? Now that's going to be an art. Is that fair? Yeah. And what I want to share with you today is how I feel like we can leverage what Tony teaches and what he's all about to really break through those barriers so that you can really serve people at a higher level, so that they can kind of cut through all the BS and they can actually feel your heart and know that you're not just there just for a commission, because I don't think anybody in this room is just for a commission. Is that fair?
Yes.
Right? Because you couldn't be in this business for that. There are other businesses where you could just sit behind a desk and you can make money. Fair or unfair? Fair. Absolutely. If you're in this business, I have to know that you're coming from here. And that's why I can empathize with you. That's why I can really see eye to eye. We're the same. We're mission, not money-based. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to talk about is how do we then get people to really feel us and feel our hearts? And so that's what Tony's been a master of now for over 40 years, and I want to share the process with you, because basically what he says is when we can change a pattern of our behavior, basically what we're doing consistently, we can change any result that we want. But in order to change something you're doing, to just do it, I would argue, and he would say, you're going to have to feel like just doing it. Everybody follow?
Yep.
So let's talk about that. How can we change our patterns? Rather than talk, you know what? You've been sitting too long. I'm going to show you. Everybody stand up for a quick second. Stand up. All right. Take everything out of your hands. Take everything out of your hands, please. Okay. I know I'm vertically challenged, but everybody can see me, yes? All right, beautiful. Thank you so much. Do me a favor. Take everything out of your hands. It's very, very important to our work. Push your neighbor. I'm kidding. All right. But you guys ready now? All right. Now wait. Shake your body out for a second. Come on, shake it out. We're going to turn up the energy a little bit in this room. We have to, okay? Now, some of you are like, I don't do that move. I don't know what that is. Put your hands out in front of you about 6 inches apart, please. This is how we create patterns and habits. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go. And on go, everybody clap, okay? 1, 2, 3, go. 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 Do me a favor, don't sit down. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Okay, now, cross your fingers and your thumbs. This is going to be very important. Look down at your thumbs. Some of you might have done this already. Look down at your thumbs. Who's got their left thumb over their right thumb in this room? Whoa, left thumbers. All right. Now, I'm just a messenger. Okay. When I'm in Texas, I have to get very close to the door when I say this. Anyway, but the point is, if your left is over your right, the research shows that you are creatively inclined and you tend to be an incredible lover, so that's good news. Sir, please don't switch your thumbs. All right. There's always, by the way, there's always two groups. There's the one group somewhere in the room that's like, I know. And then the other group, unfortunately, in the corner going, makes sense. Anyway, now wait, where are my right thumbers? Right thumbers, come on, where are my right thumbers? Alright, we'll talk after. Anyway. Actually, research shows if your right's over your left, you are the logically inclined of the two. If any of the two are going to amass a fortune, it's going to be the right thumbers. Some of you turn that frown upside down. That's your choice. Do you want the sex or the money? It's up to you. Okay? But before we sit down, because some of you are giving me that look like he does know I've been standing for 45 seconds, right? Take a deep breath in. Let it out. All right, push your neighbor. Nice. All right. And then do one last thing. Cross your fingers and your thumbs, please. Here's my question. Do you have the same thumb on top as before, yes or no?
Yes.
Just switch your thumbs. Tell me how that feels out loud. All right, well, shake that out. Have a seat, my sexy millionaires. Now, look up here. I'm aware I just lost 25% of you. Literally, for the rest of the time, you're going to be like going to your neighbors like, look at my thumb. Some of you are going to get home and be like, honey, bet you wouldn't know what I found out today. Alright, so, here's the idea. Now, I know that was silly, but there's a method to my madness, and I promise I appreciate your patience. Who here has heard that line before, which albeit kind of cliche, but also very true, that people don't remember what you tell them, but they remember the way you made them feel? Who's heard that before? Okay, very cool. So that's why you had to suffer through that little, like, exercise here, but there are a couple of key points that I want to point out to you. The first is this. Would you agree that if you open and close your hands again and again, you'd have one thumb that ends up on top just about every single time? Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course you would. Were you aware of it, though, before I asked you to look at your thumbs?
No.
For most of us, no. Some of us maybe, but for most of us, no. Now, I'm going to nerd out on you real quick, so I apologize. That's my nerd alert. But basically, the reason we have you do that exercise is to showcase that what's happening in two different parts of your mind for the purposes of this conversation. If I have any neuroscientists out there, we can nerd out later. However, for the purposes of today, we're going to talk about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, which I'm going to use a very technical term. Don't let me lose you, okay? But the technical term is going to be tum-tum, okay? So your subconscious mind, tum-tum, and your conscious awareness. I would argue that if you open and close your hands again and again, you're going to have one thumb on top, but most of us aren't aware of it because it feels fine, tum-tum, in the moment. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But when you switch your thumbs, how does that feel? Weird in the moment. Which we could actually translate to threatening because it's uncomfortable. And the brain, if left unconditioned, untrained, is always going to prioritize what it perceives to be threatening and uncomfortable or urgent, or as urgent, over what it knows to do anyway. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Which is why, if we're not aware, we oftentimes can have we can have our whole calendar plan, we can have our whole day, what we're going to do, know exactly all the math of how many people, how many lives we need to touch every single day, make the calls, do the pop-bys, join this networking, etc., and we can get one email and the deal's going south, and then doesn't the whole day just go whoop? Am I in the right room?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So what we have to do then is we have to condition that fear response out of us so we can think clearly. And what Tony would say is that most people don't actually get the results they're capable of because they trade what they know to do for how they feel moment to moment. But the cool thing is, and you guys know this to be true, if you lean into that discomfort for just a little bit, it stops being uncomfortable. Fair or unfair?
Fair.
Right? Think about all the things that we do. We're doing it right now. We're speaking, we're writing, we're reading, we're listening, we're standing, we're sitting. At one point, that was difficult. Who here has children? Okay. What if your children walking wasn't a must? What if it was like a goal? How long would you let your kid fumble around before you're like, he's not a walker? Fair or unfair?
Fair.
Right. So what if we said, who in here wants to grow their business by 20% in the coming year? 30, at least 20%. Okay. Are there people in this room that have done that year over year, yes or no?
Yes.
Of course there are. So you know it's possible. What if you made it a must? Just think about that for a second. What if we turn our shoulds into our musts? Because we don't always get what we want. Is that fair? But we get what we have to have. And if we're not getting the results that we're after right now, most likely it's not because you don't know, and I don't know you, so maybe this is an assumption, you know what they say about assumptions, but more often than not, just from my experience, it's not because you don't know how to get it. It's because at some level you have an emotional block. There's something there that is stopping you from taking that next step that you know you're capable of taking. True or false?
True.
Okay, so what we're about doing in the Tony Robbins organization, what I'm here for, is to get everybody, for your own reasons, not because anybody else is telling you, I hope we're clear on that, right? But for your own reasons, for your family, for your legacy, to be able to take that next step because, as Toby said, it's not going to be necessarily, there's always another level, but it's not about just achieving that, it's about who we grow to be in the process. And I know you guys agree with me on that, right? Because you wouldn't be in this business if you didn't. So here's what we're going to do. Really quick process. First thing we're going to do is just figure out where we feel we are. So what I want you to do really quickly is give yourself a score, 1 to 10, for all my visual people, 1 to 10, not using that marker anymore, all right? 1 to 10, as to how you feel about your current results in your real estate business. 10 is going to be your best, 1 is going to be your worst. Write that number anywhere you'd like on your worksheet. How do you feel currently about your real estate results?
Year to date or altogether?
What's that?
Year to date or altogether?
All together. Good question. Everybody follow? Yeah? Okay. Now, Lindsay, can I use your eyes for a moment?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to take a quick poll around the room, and we're going to make a very large average, so don't worry about writing down numbers or anything like that. But raise your hand if you'd be so kind, and we all have different 10s, so no one's judging, but raise your hand if your number was 1 through 4. Wow, okay. Appreciate your honesty. A lot of high achievers in this room. 5 or 6? Okay. 7? 8? 9? 10? Any 11s? Just count. No. All right. Anyway. What would the average be, Lindsay? Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely was the most. Okay. Now, that excites the crap out of me. Just saying. Why do you think I would be super stoked for that?
We're hungry. Open-minded. People are open.
Wouldn't it make sense to say that if we feel, again, in our gut, in our tum-tum, that right now, however we're doing, whatever our results, we feel like right now we're operating, we'll call it a 3 in our business, that we have another 70% that we're leaving on the table that we could tap into whenever we choose to. Is that fair or unfair?
Fair.
Okay. Well, then I want you to take that from how you feel to what you know, and I want you to ask yourself, what would be different in my business? What would need to be different in my business? For this man bun, no sock wearing, loudmouth kid who jumps around, right? To come back here and ask you the same question, and without hesitation, you say 10 or 9.9, whatever you want. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because you know your rules. And progress is happiness. It's not about getting the stuff. That's great. But if you have a little bit more money than you did yesterday and you know why you're accumulating it, I'm going to argue you're going to be pretty darn happy with yourself. Right?
Yep.
And even if your body doesn't look like the person on the magazine, but you have a little bit more energy in your body day after day after day, and you know why you need that energy, whether it's to run around with your children, or whether it's to go hike a mountain, or whatever it might be, right? Or just to feel good every day, if you have a little bit more than you did yesterday, you're going to be pretty excited. Agreed?
Yes.
So then write down, what are your rules to happiness? In your business, what needs to change in order for you to really feel like you are operating to your fullest potential, to your peak performance? What does it need to be? Do we need to get more listings? Okay, great. How many more? By when? More referral partners, have more free time, whatever it needs to be. Get as clear as you can. And then I want you to ask yourself, okay, well then, is that reasonable? Can I do that? And for most of us, we're going to say yes, in our heart of hearts. Is that fair? We know we're capable of doing it. So then we just have to ask the tough but fair question of what is getting in our way right now from really doing the things we know to do. And if you have extra time, write down what's getting in your neighbor's way. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Now let me ask you, what kind of stuff gets in our way from really achieving what we know we're capable of?
Distractions.
Squirrel. Some of you were telling me telepathically. This is really great. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, Danette. Fear. Okay. What kind of fear?
Fear that I'll embarrass myself or that I'll fail in front of everyone.
Okay. Who here's been through a training, real estate or otherwise, where they basically said what gets in your way, and then you say fear, and then they're like, don't be fearful. Awesome. Great. Well then, that's my show. See you later. All right. Fear is necessary. Fear is helpful. Because we always are going to have fear. It keeps us alive. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yep.
But that being said, we need to localize it. We need to, I'm from Philadelphia, so anybody seen Rocky before? Fear is like a fire, you know what I mean? Anyway, the point is that when you use it, it makes you hot. The point I'm making is that we just have to localize and say, what am I fearful of now? Because at some point we were fearful of the boogeyman under our bed. I still am, anyway, but that's an aside. What are we fearful of now? So if you've written down fear on your paper, I commend you for being that honest and that courageous. Go a step further. Ask yourself, who am I afraid to be rejected by? Who am I afraid that I will fail or disappoint? If that really is what you feel is holding you back. Some people might not say fear at all, right? How many people feel like time management is what holds them back? Okay, appreciate that. How many feel like procrastination is what holds them back? How many people in this room procrastinate? Show of hands. The rest of you gonna raise your hands later? Alright. Anyway, neither here nor there. You don't raise your hand about that, you lie to other stuff too, alright? That's fine. Okay, does that make sense? So what else holds us back? Because these are the things we gotta get clear on, because once we figure out what's in our way now, then we can come up with an appropriate strategy to actually get around it. Because the truth of the matter is, what you just did here is you did a relative analysis. And if you were to do a relative analysis on all the areas in your wheel, you would find there's probably a couple areas where you're not living on your terms. And if this was the wheel on your car, how would the ride be? Bumpy or smooth? Right. Now, if it were bumpy, would that inspire you to speed up or to slow down? Slow down. Right. A minute ago, did you realize that we're adults, by the way, and we were standing up doing this?
It was fun.
Thank you.
You got defeated via Silja.
It was fun, right? Now, why did we do that? Think about it. Why did we do that?
Because everyone was doing it.
Because everyone was doing it.
You make us do it.
I made you. I couldn't make you do anything. Let's be honest.
Took us
But
out of comfort zone.
I did, and I asked you to do it, but you guys all did it, and you did it as a team. Now, who here, because I know some of you noticed, because you looked at me a little funny, who here noticed that even though the directions were, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go, then we're going to clap, that I stopped saying go? Who noticed? Mm-hmm. Did we keep clapping, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Because human beings have an amazing ability to find a rhythm. There's a reason that most people focused around this, and I probably believe it's because this man raised his hand at a 5. Now, I'm sure most people in this room, and I'm not here to pander to him, but would say that what he's done is pretty remarkable. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, but he said 5. Birds of a feather. Does that make sense? And that's beautiful, as long as we keep getting honest with ourselves and we keep growing and we keep becoming what we know deep down we're capable of being, so that we grow, so we have more to give. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He might have been a 6, though. If I was 6 is where he raised his hand.
Get out. Just kidding. All right. So, everybody with me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Yes or no? Yes. All right. Good. We gotta keep that energy high. I'm a trainer. I'm gonna push you. I'm the guy. You don't hire a trainer so they can be like the nicest guy or gal in the world. You hire a trainer to get results. Fair?
Fair.
They're the guy or gal who literally, when you're like, I can't do it anymore, they're like, I'll take 4 more. You're like, 4? What? And you curse them out either overtly or under your breath, depending on who you are. Fine, right? But then you do 2 and you feel great because you passed your threshold. So bear with me, even if it's a little uncomfortable. I'm going to push you today so you get your results. Is that fair or unfair?
Fair.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So here's the idea. The idea is that certain things pop up for us, right? Certain things, whether that be a fear of being rejected, or whether that be feeling like we're not managing our time correctly. Which, by the way, what is time management? If we really break that down, I would argue that all time management is emotional management. Fair?
Fair.
Because everybody in here knows we get 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
And even though we may want more time, you clearly know that if you're given this gift of life for one more day, that you're probably going to have 24 hours in it. You can forecast that pretty well. so you can budget the rest of the week. Know exactly what you need to do, but the truth of the matter is that we get emotional about certain things, and then we make priorities in the moment. Is everybody with me on that?
Yes.
Okay, so what we have to do for ourselves here is the next step is just quickly figure out what is getting in our way now, and then figure out what are we going to do about it. So here's what we got to get. First, I want you to be clear on what's holding you back. Everybody have that down, yes?
Yes.
All right, then ask yourself this, though. When did that show up for the first time? Did it show up for the first time last week, or was it there for a very long time? Right. Now, what does it cost you, though? And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, because you can look at this and be grateful. You could say, I'm looking at this right now, bringing my awareness to it, even if it's uncomfortable. That means I'm going to have the ability, the foresight to see downriver and to say, I'm going to make a change. So this is a good thing. But be honest. Ask yourself, feeling that way, what has it cost me? Has it cost me deals? Yes or no?
Yes.
Has it cost me friends?
Yes.
Fun?
Yes.
The ability to give and do and live on my terms, it has to have. So quick question, I know it's a silly one, but how many want to make a change? Anybody?
Yes.
All right, I'm in the right room. Are you committed to making that change, though? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, even if it's a little uncomfortable?
Yes.
All right, well then we're going to do that then. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask yourself, if you made that change, just dream for a moment like a child does, because we all have that in our hearts. Ask yourself, if I made the change, if I learned how to get through my own limiting belief, my own little thought, that little pernicious voice in my head. By the way, how many people have a voice in their head? Anybody have more than one? Talk to me. Anyway, okay. Point is, if you break through that this year, what does next year look like?
Really?
70% more of you, I'm not a mathematician, is a growth rate of 140% year over year. What would be different if you doubled your income this year from your business? Who would you help? How would it feel? Take a minute. You can't be wrong. And just envision that. What would this morning feel like if you knew that a year ago you made a decision to never let yourself be less than you know in your heart you're capable of? And you gave everything that you had every single day to add as much value to the people around you, not because you felt you had to, because you chose to. Because as corny as it may sound, the present moment is called the present because it's the gift. What's that going to feel like?
Woohoo! Wonderful.
Did I make you do that too?
Oh, yeah.
Now, realistically speaking, because I know I just had you dreaming for a minute, let's get real. You do that. You double your income. The next year, you making more money or less money? More. What about the year after that? More. What about the year after that? More. Okay. So what's the smart decision? Stay with the same pattern or make a change?
Make a change.
Okay. So what we've been doing now for the last 40 years is helping people to do that. And no, there is no quick fix, but what I want to give to you is just a very, very quick synopsis of why it's been so powerful. And then I'd actually love to hear from you guys as to how we can really, just hear your own testimony as to how to explain to other people what is really available to you. Because at UPW, which stands for Unleash the Power Within, you're going to spend 3 days with the best coaching in the world, breaking through something that you feel may have been holding you back again and again and again. Because here's the interesting piece. What governs our patterns is nothing more than our beliefs of what should be. Does that make sense? And when we look at peak performance, here's all we look at. We look at what is the plan, what is the strategy, right? But we already talked about the fact that we already know a plan that would work. It's been proven. Then we look at, okay, well, what's the activity level? Because a lot of people know a lot of stuff, but they don't do a lot of stuff. Is that fair?
Yes.
And the reason there's a gap there, quite frankly, is because of the psychology, because of the mind, which supports it all. But all that really is, guys, is your belief in who you are. And all I'm going to tell you from working with thousands of people, doing it in my life and learning from the best coaching in the world, and you'll agree with me because you've done it, but you will not get the results long term that you desire until you first make the decision you're the type of person that deserves them. So if you're not getting the results that you're after right now, I just have to ask you a tough but fair question, only because don't good friends really keep it honest with you, keep it real?
Right.
Why do you feel that you don't deserve it right now? Who here agrees with me and with Tony that if you are walking the face of this planet, you are entitled to every gift that this life has to offer? It's waiting for us. It's right there, every single moment. It's right there. We just have to reach out and take it. So who's with me?
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. So I want you to think about that. Because in a moment you can change everything. In a moment you can say, let's begin. You can say, never again. You can go left versus right. Everything can change in the moment. Who gets that? Right? So what we have to do then is we just have to say to ourselves, okay, this is the moment that I'm going to make that shift for myself. Because what happens is when you make a decision, here's what's happening. You're going from, this is what I normally do, right? This is a neuron. I'm going to nerd out on you, by the way, just so you know. Okay, this is a neuron. This is what happens. Green means go again and again and again. This is what it means. Over time, it gets stronger and stronger. You know, realistically, that someone could potentially run a red light. Is that fair?
Yes.
But because of all the repetition, your brain knows that if it sees green, it's most likely going to be go. And what happens is this. What happens is when you have an ETE, which we call an emotionally traumatic event, or it's mostly triggering event too, depending on how you describe it. Something that affects you emotionally. What happens is this. It's like water running down a hill. It always finds a path of least resistance. But if you have enough of it and you channel it into a new direction, you can change a pattern, you can change a habit. How many people agree with me on that?
Yes.
How many people in this room have children? So then you can prove my point. In a moment, didn't you go from, I am this type of a person, I am a woman, I am a man, I am a boyfriend, I am a girlfriend, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, to I am a mother, I am a father? Yes or no?
Yes.
And did that change the way you look at absolutely everything?
Yes.
And can anybody take that from you?
No.
No. And so the moment you make that kind of decision with enough emotional impact that you are a peak performer, that you are somebody who's doubling their business, that you are somebody that gives, that you're somebody who treats this life as happening for you and not to you, no one can take that from you. Would you agree?
I agree.
So if you've been sitting in here, you've been suffering me, you've been listening, I just want to share with you one of the best ways to doing that. Now, if you leave here thinking that I'm going to tell you that the only answer is to go to a Tony Robbins event, you have missed the forest for the trees. I'm so sorry. But the answer is simple. Figure out how you can get so emotionally connected to making your decision on a daily basis, and then get around the people, which you're already around, by the way, but get around the people who are going to support you to keep that rhythm, to keep that vision, to keep that energy high, because things don't always go our way. Is that fair?
Fair.
And when that happens, you're going to need everybody around you to say, no, this is the way we dance here. This is the rhythm. Make sense?
Do it
Makes
again.
sense.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, all right. So, you with me?
Yeah. With you.
Okay. So, I'm just curious. How many people want to make that a reality? Okay, cool. Here's what we're going to do. It's super simple. We're going to pass out your form for Unleash the Power Within. I call it a golden ticket. No, not because it has a yellow back, right? Debbie actually has them in her hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you the pricing structure for where and when it is. It's November 8th through the 11th. It's in Newark, New Jersey, which is actually very easy to get to. It's a short flight. And then we'll give you all the pricing that we have and the discount that we're able to do that. But before I do any of that, I just want to say a special thank you to Lindsay and to George for having us here. And I'd love to hear, George, if you don't mind, I'd love to hear your takeaways from today's meeting on how we can really make some shifts for us as a team based on what we've covered. Is that okay?
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know something, and I know that you love this guy. I can feel that energy, and I already love him too. I don't even know him, but I want you to know something. I want you to know something. Listen to me now. I get the privilege to speak to a lot of different groups, and I'm grateful for every single one of them. And I get the privilege to meet a lot of different leadership. Most people that I speak to know of Tony Robbins. They know what is available to them. They know the benefit. And yet, when they're asked, would you like someone who's been trained by Tony Robbins to speak to your people? A lot of people cop out with answers like, well, you know what, honestly, like, my people don't have the money for an event like that, so no. Or, you know what, we don't have the time, we're busy. Or, you know what, I'm scared. They won't say this, right? But I'm scared of what he's going to say to my people. But not this gentleman. Because he knows. And I just want to reiterate something Tony says over and over again. Our entire life can change the moment we switch an expectation for an appreciation. Everybody with me on that?
Yes.
And just for a moment, can we please show our appreciation for the fact that this gentleman cares about everybody in this room that much, that they want to expose you to this kind of training, this kind of coaching? Give him a round of applause.
You're doing great. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
Good, you my statement would be, I'm trying to add it up. I think New York, which I still need to sign up officially, Debbie, but I think it'll be my 11th UPW. I was talking to Amaria, who's going now, last week, and she said these, I'm going to pick on her. I said, are you going? She's like, well, I've already gone. And I said, what does that have to do with anything going in November? Right? It has no relationship. So one of the things I love is the mother of memory is repetition, right? The mother of
repetition is the mother of skill.
That repetition is the mother of skill, which he also says, right? So I look at every moment, like when I'm going to these events, they always try to say, look, what are you going to get out of these events? What are you trying to get out of? I've moved from when I go to the event, am I trying to get something or give something? And the other thing is I'm trying to look at the events when I go to them as I may not even know what I'm trying to get. So let me give you a perspective. So I went to this business mastery last week in Las Vegas, and it was on the 4th day, I believe. So I've been there for 4 days. And all of a sudden as I was there, it dawned on me. Now, just to give you perspective, so does anybody know how many agents we have as an organization?
600.
1,100 agents as an organization. Now, in Utah, we have 500, right? But there's 600 agents over in California. So we will sell nearly just shy of 10,000 homes this year, right? We will be on the side of either a buying and selling side. We will sell across this I-15 corridor. We will sell 1 out of every 3 homes where we will represent either the buying side or the selling side on one side of that or on one of the sides of the transaction. If you take Ventura County and just everything north of LA, we will sell 1 out of every 3 homes out of an entire county in California. We have escrow divisions, mortgage divisions, title divisions inside this organization. Some of you may not even know really how big the organization has become. We will pay out over $100 million worth of commissions in 2018. Right? I mean, I jokingly say, as I understand it, if their deal goes through, we are the number 2 company in the world for Century 21. By default, we might become number 1 because they're selling and splintering out their group. But I don't like that being the answer as to how we get to number 1. But so you need to sell more houses. Is really what I'm saying.
I forgot to say something.
That's right. But I look at all of these different things that are happening, and the one thing that this business mastery did is it reconnected my heart with the things that I love most, which is you guys. You wouldn't know, like, if you got off the call yesterday in a meeting with Ilona, Gretchen, Sam Bell, and I said, let me tell you something. You are not going to administrate your way to success and growth. So from this point forward, I said, I will meet with you, and I go, please know I love you, but we will meet 1 day a week on a Wednesday, and that is all the time I'm going to give you, Ilona, is 1 hour. I will give you this much time. I started going down the list. And I said, because what I want is my Mondays and Tuesdays, my Thursdays and my Fridays and the rest of my time to be encompassed in 4 great things, which is either recognizing an agent, recruiting another great agent, or either retaining, or through retention, through either training them or coaching them. And it may seem like that's simple stuff, but one of the things that the event did for me is it reconnected my everyday efforts and what I do every day with my heart. And it made it to where I realized, I took a step back after 4 days going, why is it that I am so, and it sounds silly because you might say, wait, you don't act like that, but why are you so miserable? And that was the question I was actually, probably I could ask myself a better question, Stephen, but that was the question that I was asking myself as I was at the event, is why am I so unhappy? Why am I so unfulfilled? Like I was sitting next to people and I was sheepish about my story. That was one of the things. And the second thing was this. So I told you all of the success. So as I sat there, what you may not know, like, we have these childhood injuries that often happen in our lives, right? I could give you a whole story of all the abandonment issues of my life, adopted at 3 days old, everyone leaving, all the stories and the emotion I put around that and the focus that I gave it and the experiences that I gave myself because of the way I used to focus on it. But there was another thing that comes out of my history, and that is that, I always love what Tony says, is make sure you blame fairly. Because from that standpoint, what I did is I also, you may not believe this, but maybe some of you will, who know me, and that is that I have never really thought that I'm enough. So when you start thinking about that, you start realizing like, well, wait, why does he do these grandiose, crazy, like, holy crap, you're going to go down, there's no way this could be accomplished. Part of it was, I think, even for myself, to prove things to myself, and possibly even to others at times. But what last week taught me and brought to me, for me personally, was this connection to what I love to do most, which is to help impact and make a difference in the lives of other human beings. So you've heard me say the words, right? Which is help every individual become their very best. But second was the fact of where does that state of mind, emotion, and energy come from? Which is it that I'm enough, or am I really enough? And for the first time, which may seem crazy to some of you, but for the first time last week, I was able to actually say to myself with confidence, certainty, and with love to myself that I am a great businessman, or I'm a great business person, whatever you want to call it. And that may seem like, well, is that really relevant to like how I sell a home? I would say that if you can connect your heart, right? You said tum-tum, your soul, your spirit, your energy, right? Your passions, whatever word resonates and vibrates the best for you in your life. But I can promise you this, that if you can connect your heart and you can connect your actions together, it is unbelievable what can happen. And it is unbelievable what you can achieve. And my observation is it's simple, right? You can take an agent who calls 100 people, uses the exact same script, and gets a very poor result. Or you can take essentially the same 100 people and take a different agent who is connected with their heart and soul to the message that they're delivering. Same words, different message and a different tone, and a whole different experience occurs. You can take the same listing appointment, and 2 people come in with, hey, I have 3 real important questions for you, and one will walk out with the listing, and the other will not. Why? Because again, it's the way, and it's not even the words they say, it's how they say the things they say, and it's how you connect to who you are. So, look, in the spirit of wanting you to be your very best, the reason why I say, well, what are you going to get, or ask people, say, well, what am I going to get from that? I don't know. But what I know after 11 Date with Destinies, 11 Unleash the Power Withins, 2 Date with Destinies, going again this year, business mastery, wealth mastery, life mastery, all these different programs that he has. And just so you know, we also signed up for business results coaching, to where for the next 6 months, once a month, we're going to have a senior trainer come in from Tony Robbins, who is actually going to share their entire program of how to hold yourself accountable through the business process. We've spent thousands of dollars through this process. And the fact is you guys are going to be engaged in all of it. And what I have realized in my own life, 2 fundamentals if I follow. 1, growth. Number 2, contribution. That's what feeds my life. And my observation is if you get committed to something with passion and heart, it won't matter what it is, you're going to be extraordinary at it. And whether it's that you're a lender in the room, whether you're in title or escrow, or whether you're home warranty, or whether you, obviously the majority of you are a real estate agent, as you connect with that, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And nothing, and I'm going to offend half of you, which is not abnormal, so here you go. Take any church talk, and I jokingly said recently to someone, take, and most of you know what this is, general conference talk. Anything you've ever gone to from a church or religion, my observation is nothing has impacted me more than my attendance to going to Tony Robbins, because it has helped shape a spiritual side of my life that is so valuable to me and puts all the heart and the soul and the connection to everything I'm doing. And if you are, frankly, so shallow to believe that if because someone swears you can't hear what they have to say, you should re-examine your realities of judgment versus curiosity.
About 60%. You did good.
So people always meet me, like I was in California yesterday and someone said, so hey, you're Mormon. I said, yeah. I said, I'm the guy who gambles and swears way too much. And I said, so most people don't think I am because I just, I can't help myself. I'd rather do other crazy things if I couldn't at least voice my opinion with some type of adjective behind it. But, or in front of it. Just know
This really
I am. One last thing. All right, here we go. I just want. Here's the deal. And I know this. The things, all the things we talk about cost money. I just would tell you that some of you will say, I don't have money to go. I know that's one of the things you're going to say. I know you'll say it because Maria said it to me. And Maria and I only say that from the standpoint that I would just challenge you to say a different story, and that is you can't afford not to go. Most of you are going to say, I don't have money to go. I would just challenge you to say, I can't afford not to go, and find a way, because when it becomes a must, you find a way. Look, I don't care if 8 of you are sleeping on the floor in one hotel room. Go. Right? I don't care what you do to get there, as long as it's more ethical and honest. Beyond that, do whatever you need to do. And then, that's right. That is kind of a little bit, right? But I would just say for me in closing, what I've been incredibly grateful for is, it is bizarre because it's stressful, and I appreciate Jay, as he was standing outside with me today, Jay Bentley right here, he goes, man, you really are gray. And he goes, it's so good to see that. And I said, thank you, Jay. And they reminded me that about 15 years ago, I may have told you were gray, and asked how many grandkids you had. And you were like, I don't know, probably 30? I don't know. Something like that, I don't know. But that was not my point, by the way. But my point is this, is that for some weird reason, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, I'm sure it has, if you can relate. Like kind of that statement, right? Has there ever been a time where you somehow got away from things that you know, like are the right things you should be doing, like where you should be, right? Like when Aaron Pearson left the company, but then he realized where he was supposed to be and he came back, right? Things like that. See? I had to pick on him. It's real. Right? But serious. Like you realize, and for some weird reason, I just want to acknowledge again, I know, Stephen, you and I have just met, but I just want to acknowledge again Debbie and Lindsay, because without them, for some weird reason, and why the gray hairs, this has been the most stressful 3 years of my life as we've changed and evolved and done so many different things in the company. And for some weird reason, I can't even really, I can't look back and go, why did I do that? And that is that I went 3 years without going to something, and I was adamant every 3 months I'd go to something from Tony. 3-4 months maximum. And so, look, if I could just get you there to where you went there once a year, I would be thrilled. Go more than that, that's all bonus. But I know that this business is so much about our mindset, our skill sets to how we deal with our personal lives and our business lives, and then the disciplines that we shape all that around, that everything can come together. So just, again, I acknowledge you, Debbie. You've always stayed close. Obviously, you've stayed close, and you always are going to stuff. And I know there's other people that have gone because of that. And so thank you. So really, truly, thank you, both of you. So, and if you haven't figured out, I am incredibly committed to getting as many people to New York as I possibly can. And why? Because, frankly, I just know the impact that it has. And I know what it will do for you. And I know who will help you to become. And in the essence of what this organization is always about, Tony Robbins is all about this, which is one thing: working from the inside out. It's not an issue of getting enough leads if you aren't having business. It's not an issue, do you not know a script in almost all cases. It's not an issue, can you actually pick up a phone and if you knew how to do it. It's none of those things. It's the willingness and the emotional connection and the heart and the passion and the soul that you put behind every single thing. And if you can weave the purposes of your life and your passions and your joys of your life in everything that you do, then this business becomes extraordinary. If you can't, then it just becomes a job. It becomes a career, but not a mission, right? And the difference between a mission versus a job are radically different. And for some of you, I see you and I know that you're on a mission. And for some of you, you're like, this is just a job, a holding pattern. Gosh, if I could just sell enough homes to replace my previous income, I'm going to do okay. But man, if you could connect the dots in a whole different fashion, imagine what you could do in this business. And some of you are making some great strides and doing some great things, earning some great money, but there's a whole other level that you could go to. That I am certain of. So,
thank you very
there
much.
You go.
I really appreciate it. Give him a round of applause. Show of hands. How many people are 100% committed that they're going to be there in November? Show of hands. Okay. How many people would go for free? Okay. I saw a very different number of hands that went up here. So here's what I'm going to do. How many people remember that I called it a golden ticket? Anybody? Okay, here's why. So, I, just like George could tell you a whole bunch of stories, and I won't. But the short version of a long story is the fact that I was very blessed to have an ETE, to have somebody come into my sphere and basically knock me over the head and say, hey, this is available to you. And even so, it didn't really move my feet until something really auspicious happened, and I want to share that with you quickly. So I was actually carrying, I told you about Compass, and I told you, well, the company I helped start, I told you about, its valuation and all these other things that I've done now with Tony. But what I didn't tell you about is before I went to my first Tony Robbins event, I was carrying bags on the overnight shift at the Soho Grand Hotel for $1 here, $1 there, and I was about $60,000 in credit card debt. Tum-tum. Right? I was really lucky. Really lucky. Here's why. One night, Richard Branson shows up. Anybody know who that is?
Yeah.
So, what a beautiful man. Always has a huge smile, great energy. Good friend with Tony Robbins, actually. So, shows up, and I bombard him with questions. I just can't, stop talking to this man about this, that, and the other. I tell him I read his books, etc. And to his credit, he goes, okay, well, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm an entrepreneur. This happened, and that happened to me, etc. He goes, you're not an entrepreneur. You're a bellman. And I was like, rude, right? But, was he right?
Yes.
He was. I had been caught up in this story. I can't do this, I can't do that. And the reason I share this with you is it resonated with me because he actually said to me what George just said to you. If you can't afford to go, you can't afford not to go. Because how much longer you want to be in that position? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now here's why I shared this with you. Of course, I didn't tell him I was in credit card debt. What am I, nuts? Right? I didn't do that. But he told me about Tony Robbins. And I got to tell you something. That it didn't move my feet right away. It moved my feet to the bookstore. And I went and I got Tony's book. And because I knew he was only going to be there for a few days, I read it quickly. I skimmed it, but I read it quickly. And then I came back and I had all this information about Tony Robbins. And he goes, what are you still doing here? He says, obviously, just reading about it, just having the information wasn't enough. You're going to need something to move your feet. So go to one of his events. And of course, what do you think my first question was? What does it cost? Because I was living in a scarcity mindset. Because to me, I said, there's no way I could fit in with that crowd. There's no way. He said, I don't know. It's probably going to cost you like $1,000 to go, but it's worth every penny. Put it on a credit card. Now, I'm incredibly grateful for that moment. Because that moment pissed me off to no end. And if you're sitting here right now, honestly, and you can't think of a way that you can come up with that money. I'm not judging any of you, but I hope you get pissed off. I hope it moves you in some way. Because it was one of the greatest moments of my life. Because I got so emotionally moved that I said, you know what? Here's somebody I idolize telling me here's the process, just do it. And I can't. Because of the pattern of behavior that I'm running. And I got resourceful. Because it's never going to be the resources in life. Is that fair? We all know that. It's how resourceful do you want to get? And I got there. And all I'm going to tell you is this. All this event did for me, and I've gone every 3 months now for the past 9 years. But all it did for me initially is it gave me one of the greatest gifts because it taught me how to change who I saw myself to be. And literally right after I came back, the same friends I'd always had, I asked a different question of. Instead of, hey, who can give me a better job? Which, as you can imagine, as an overnight bellman on that shift, I asked a lot. I asked, who is doing something that is going to change the game in New York City? Different question, right? Within a week, a good buddy of mine who's from Brooklyn talks like this. And this is how this golden opportunity was presented to me, by the way, just in case any of you were like, he's not that good of a speaker, quite frankly. All right? But this is how this was presented to me. It was presented to me like, hey, I got a guy who he's like a techie dude, you know? He's doing something. He sold his first company to Google, second one to Twitter, and he's going to start a third company. I said, I'm in. One decision. And then one of my best friends, Sal Monaco, who I love to this day, said to me, dude, I don't think he's looking for Bellman. And I said, I'm in. 2 words. Changed my life. And I guarantee if you say them now, it'll change yours. So take your pen out, and I want you to write Century 21 Everest right up top, right on your sheet. And everybody sees the pricing, right? Great. Here's what you need to know. If you want to sit diamond and have Tony work with you one-on-one where he's literally walking the whole floor, come and talk to me because these go super fast, okay? But we have 3 amazing sections. VIP, $16.95, Executive, $13.95, and General Admission, $10.95. Now very quickly, because I don't care where you sit, but very quickly, if you spend $1,100 on you to double your business, good result or bad result? Who takes that deal? Okay. What if all of that was tax deductible? Even better, right? And what if it was completely refundable? What if you could get it all back? What's the smart move? Go or not go? Go. Yeah. What do you have to lose? Because that's all true. But we're going to do a little bit better for you. If you want to go, I want you to cross all of these out. And I want you to write $6.95 for a VIP ticket, which is going to come with coaching, as well as far better seating and an amazing peer group. Because like I said to you before, people can dance to any rhythm. And I know that George and Lindsay, myself, and Debbie, we all want you to have the best experience that you possibly can have. So $6.95, you will be there and you will make that happen. The choice is yours. Now if you're somebody like me, by the way, just because they don't tell me to say this, but if you're somebody like me who's like, yeah, that sounds good, but I don't make quick decisions, I'm with you. But we thought that through as well. On the back, there's a 3-day cancellation window. So if you can't make it to this event, you give us a call, you lose nothing. I call it a golden ticket because your life will change the moment you say, I'm in. And if you say you're into this, I guarantee you are going to walk out this door a different person. You are going to walk out this door in the next 5 minutes with a different focus, a different outlook, knowing that because you decided to say I'm in and put your pen to paper, you now know you deserve the best coaching in the world. And that is a different quality of question, which leads to a different quality of life. Everybody with me? So who's going? Good for you. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much. Any questions before we adjourn? If you're going, can I borrow that for just a hot second? Thank you, yes. If you're going, the process is super simple. Write your information here. Pick where you'd like to sit. Circle VIP for your pricing. And then fill out how you'd like to invest in yourself. You're going to take your copy, your golden ticket. I'm going to take the top copy. Then we'll email everybody all the itinerary. We also get discounts on hotels, so we'll send that to you as well. And then if you act now, I guarantee that you'll have a very, I looked at it yesterday, I think it's like $250 round trip for the flight, so very doable, and you can make that happen. So thank you very much, I appreciate that.
You know people. We know I'm ready to sign them. I just want you to write this down. Get my video? See, copy myself, Jeff. Hey, would you say that in the video? Sure.